What is your American dream?
American dream is become an entrepreneur here in US and bringing again some genuinity and authenticity of the Italian culture here in US.
My American dream is to serve the public. I'm running for judge and then want to continue serving on the bench and perhaps one day become a United States Senator. But I always want to give back to the community and the people that supported me along the way. My parents, and I want to make them proud.
My American dream is to make sure that our Constitution is not compromised by, the political people that are in power now, and it bothers me very much so because I am not a lawyer, but I love the law.
My American dream is just live comfortably, really. Not be too rich, not be too poor. Just wake up every morning and enjoy life. That's really it.
Everyone has a right to the American dream.
Groundhog Sam! Hey, Brown Squad! Happy Tuesday! I hope you had a great weekend. I'm on another mission. Very important. Brad thought it would be a good idea for me to go out and hand out some Bradshaw Live flyers, and of course I was happy to oblige. So I decided to take the subway. I've never been on the subway. I've heard that humans kind of burrow too, just like groundhogs, except that they don't have to deal with the dirt. Well, I guess they have a different type of dirt in the subway. There were so many lines, I couldn't figure out which one to go with. But then I saw the one that I knew was meant for me, the F and the G line for furry groundhogs. Ha 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 ha. So that's the train I'm taking. Let's go. Here I am, waiting for the train. This is so exciting. This is what the New York City subway looks like. Who knew? Who knew people travel underground, just like groundhogs do? It's a train, it's a train, it's a train. We're getting on the train. We're not on the train yet. We're gonna get on the train. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm on the subway. Holding on for dear life. It's quite bumpy. It's fascinating how people travel. Hold on, we're at a stop. Woo. Hello, miss. Would you please take a flyer for Bradshaw Live? Thank you. 5:30 to 7:30, Monday through Friday, Eastern on Facebook and YouTube. Check us out, Facebook and YouTube. It's really great. We've had Grammy Award-winning Shaggy on. Yes? Oh, thank you. It's all about immigration. You're going to learn a lot, and it's infotainment. I'm the mascot, Groundhog Sam. I even have my own Facebook page. Check me out. Thank you, and nice to meet you. Thank you, check us out. Oh, someone wants to take my picture. Flyer for Bradshaw Live, Monday through Friday. Oh, bonjour, that's wonderful. Oh, yes, definitely check our show out. I would love to go to Switzerland one day. Maybe I could go with you. Ça va? Oh, bien, please. Oh, I'm going to go to Switzerland with him. Don't tell Brad. Thank you, I'm going to come. I'll fit in your knapsack. You won't even have to buy me a plane ticket. Well, that was quite an incredible experience. Groundhog Sam underground on the subway. I enjoyed myself immensely, and I got the word out more about Bradshaw Live. Amazing. You know what's also amazing? How many people from other countries all over the world live in New York City. I can't believe how many people I met from all over the globe just taking a ride on the subway. Anyway, did you miss yesterday's episode of Bradshaw Live? Well, in case you did, Brad answered a ton of immigration questions. Then we watched as Jonathan Yo-Yo Elias covered the St. Patrick's Day parade in New York City. Looked like a blast. And guess what? I know it was, because I was there too, following Jonathan around while he was doing his thing. Ha 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 ha. I'm stealthy. I'm a stealthy groundhog. And now it's almost that time that you've all been waiting for. It's time for Bradshaw Live, starring Brad, Bernstein, and co-host Jonathan Yo-Yo Elias. I better get back to the studio now. Ooh, look at this. I got rid of all of the flyers. What a productive trip I had. Okay, see you guys soon.
Hello, everybody. Tuesday, March 19th. I am here, as always lately,
Right.
Sans Kim, but with Jonathan Yo-Yo Elias. What's happening there?
Pretty good.
How are
doing?
you? Oh, I
Good.
like your sweater today.
Thanks. I'm
cool.
an anchor.
Yeah, you know what it is? I like the color blue. If you notice, I always wear blue, except
Blue.
today I'm brown.
Blue or gray?
I usually wear blue, right?
Yeah.
You don't really. Oh, sometimes I wear gray
Sometimes.
too. Yeah, but I'm generally a
usually blue.
blue-gray person.
Yeah.
I'm not a brown person.
You're not.
Let's see if we like me in brown. Let's get a close-up and see. Yeah.
It's usually when it's laundry day when you wear brown
It was
or
like
you can't find
No,
your
no.
clothes.
I'll tell you what happened this morning. The light in my closet went out. So, like this, like it's dark. The shades are down. It's still dark because I
Right.
can't put the shades up because I don't have clothes on. I'm not,
You want to give a free show?
I don't give a free show out. Okay,
You're a classy one.
I only twerk when people share. Nobody's,
Right.
that's the only time. So I'm not giving out any free shows. So I
Right.
have the blinds down, the shades down. The lights are out in the closet. It's pitch dark. So I pull out the first shirt I can find, which was this shirt.
Okay.
So now I'm like, all right, what's going to match? So now I
Right.
got to go get like a beige brown sweater, but I usually don't do that.
Yeah.
Which is basically how I got
Yeah.
dressed today. I could have worn blue.
You could have worn blue with
Yeah,
that.
yeah, I could have.
You could have.
I very well could
But
have.
you're switching it up. It's
but I
okay.
didn't.
You're switching it up.
I didn't. I usually like just the white collar, and then I can pick whatever I
Right,
want, whatever I
right.
feel like. Aha!
Fashion 101 with
Fashion-
Brad Bernstein.
We should do Fashion 101 with Jonathan Yo-Yo Elias. Look at
Yeah,
those
we could do
pants you're
that.
wearing.
We
Can you
could do
stand
that.
up and show the pants a little bit without cutting your head off?
Well, you're probably going to cut my
You're
head
gonna
off
cut your head
still,
off. There
but
you are. Oh my God! Look at those pants, Jonathan.
Pretty
Far
out.
They are pretty far out. Did you get them? Did you get them from your? You get them from your show?
No, I got this from a stylist. that made
Oh,
it.
because you did that, 70s, Christmas
Oh,
show.
I know, right? Yeah, no.
I forgot, what was the name of it?
Soul Christmas.
Soul Christmas,
Yeah.
right. Mm-hmm. I thought maybe you kind of stole that from the wardrobe.
No.
there. But you know what we got to do, Jonathan? We got to say hello to the squad.
Whoa, what's up,
It's-
squad?
And of course, the first person commented, Carol Anderson, the Tiger. She's always here. Deanna Moore, how are you? Jeff Bosey says that was very corny. I thought it was I guess he was talking
groundhog?
about the groundhog.
I thought that was amazing.
I thought that it was corny and funny, right?
Yeah. And he was actually working today.
I'm gonna tell you something. That groundhog went on the subway. People must be like, "What is this? A lunatic?"
He had cameras on
He had
him.
cameras on him.
He's a celebrity.
And then I thought the funniest is that they looked like they were tourists or something. They were taking pictures of the
Right,
groundhog,
yeah.
right?
He's a celebrity.
Yes. And Jody Ann White says classes in session. Tamika Nelson saying hello. Fadia El Abid saying hello. March Higgs, how are you? Lisa Bling Rose. I said Tamika Nelson. Kennedy Roy, always coming in. And Jody Ann White. Jessica Limi Joeli. And Levon D. Tucker. Alma Benjamin, hello. Cordella Douglas. And that's all I see on...
Groundhog Sam is not too happy.
Why is he not happy?
Because of what Jeff Bosey said. He's crying now.
Oh, come on. Come on.
He's crying.
Come on. You're just a puppet. Puppets don't cry.
Oh.
Puppets don't
See?
cry. And on YouTube, Jean Love says hello to everybody. Marcine Frazier, squad up. Carol, the Top Cat Tigress 2 Anderson says Brad, Kimmy, Jonathan, Sam, hello to one and all love. Princess Black, Fadi El Abid saying hello to everybody on both YouTube.
Yes.
And a lot of people are watching on both now, I think.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Sherry Williams, how are you? Shanique Myers, Catherine Sa. I wonder if we should actually just do our show on one.
No.
No. Okay. Hina Riemann has a question. And Bevan Smith, Tyreek Legacy TV, Del Rito, Angela Tingling says, hey, squad, what's up? And there you have for the hello, squad up.
Squad up.
And Jonathan Yo-Yo Elias, while I find where this news is that I'm going to read off to everybody,
yeah.
I need you to
have a
tell
doozy.
everybody to please just like our stuff.
Sure.
Like our SH stuff.
Oh.
Yeah. Just like it.
Feeling
Feel a little randy today.
Yeah.
Yes. Just like it. Thumbs up it.
All right, everybody. So you guys already know what you have to do. You have to share. Right now, we're not too high in our share count. So I need you guys to share on Facebook right now as we're speaking. As you see me talking about this right now, share. So how you share is that little arrow where it says share. I don't know, whatever device you're on, it's either the top or bottom of the video, but you share it to people's pages. You can share it in groups. But most importantly, we want you to share it in an inbox. So when you share it in an inbox, you can just say share, and you can individually share it or make a whole group of people that might benefit from this show or just feel like this is entertaining. And also, like we said, we love your interaction. We like to hear what you guys have to say and what you guys think about what we're talking about. So like, love, laugh, sad face, wow face, mad face, whatever you're feeling, we want to know. And also comment. That helps with the algorithm, all right? So that's gonna push our show out, and that means more people are gonna see it. So make sure you comment, all right? Let us know what you think. Let us know about some stories you want us to talk about. Whatever is on your mind, do it, all right? And now for YouTube, also, we love your interaction. Please comment on there, comment. You guys can leave your social media questions as well, but please share it. We want you to share it in a WhatsApp group if you can, but if not, share it in a text blast, share it on social media, it doesn't matter, but make sure you subscribe on both pages and also like the button right now. Like it on YouTube if you're watching right now, all right? Right now.
You ready for some schmoozing?
All right, we're ready for some schmoozing.
You ready for some schmoozing?
Some schmoozing.
Let's do some schmoozing with Brad. So, Yo-Yo, you know who Jair Bolsonaro is? I hope I'm pronouncing his name right.
No.
He's the new right-wing leader of Brazil. They're calling him the Trump of the tropics. He's as racist and far right-wing anti-immigrant as Trump, maybe even more so. If probably Trump, what him and Trump have most in common is they'd like to be dictators of their respective countries. So up until recently, actually, Brazil and the United States were kind of having a little frosty relationships, to the point where Brazil is one of the only it's probably the only large economy that I'm aware of outside of China and Russia that require Americans to apply for a visa. Americans can't just take their U.S. passport and go to Brazil. But now, since there's these two men, Trump and Bolsonaro, seem to have the same ideology, now Brazil and the United States are best friends. Yes. The two leaders, Trump said Bolsonaro had run an incredible campaign in 2016. Bolsonaro said, I think there was a lot of hostility with the other presidents. There's zero hostility with me. And we're going to look at very, very strongly whether it's NATO or something else having to do with the alliance. What he's talking about is that Trump now wants Brazil as part of NATO, the North American Treaty Organization, which doesn't make any sense to me because NATO is meant to protect Europe. Brazil is in South America.
Right.
Okay? But what we see from Donald Trump is basically every right-wing nut out there is his best friend.
Yeah.
Think about it. Putin, Kim Jong-un, respects him, right?
Yeah.
Bolsonaro, right-wing nut in Brazil, respects him.
Wow.
Okay? Duly elected centrist leaders, Trudeau in Canada, he's an idiot. Okay? Merkel in Germany, dumb. Britain, dumb. The guy in France who's married to the woman 30 years older, can't stand him, can't get along with any of these people.
See?
All who are actually part of NATO. Even Bolsonaro, I have some other quotes here. He says, I admire President Donald Trump and will certainly work towards shared interests. Trump wants to have a great America, and we want to have a great Brazil. So there's basically following the same exact thing. He's calling the news fake news. He says they have fake news also in Brazil. And he also in Brazil is trying to kick out the immigrants and agrees with America to kick out the immigrants.
Wow, really?
I mean, this is Donald Trump right here. I mean, if Donald Trump says, you know what, Eric's an idiot, I'd really like to exchange him for a different son, it would be this guy. It would be this guy. So the remarks were aired after the two countries signed several bilateral agreements including one that allows the United States to use Brazil's aerospace launch base for its satellites. So what I find interesting most about it is that every brutal a-hole who runs a country, Trump loves him.
Of course.
Okay. And every decent person who wants to give a fair shake to everybody, he
can't stand them.
Can't stand them. Person has no energy, is dumb, is stupid, it's fake news.
All the negatives in the dictionary is him.
It's amazing, right?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, former President George W. Bush, and we pined for those days of W. Okay,
We sure do.
I pined for those days. I said those days were normal, right?
We thought it was so
We
bad.
just had a Republican in the White House, but at least it was normal, right?
Right.
He was actually pro-immigration, W. He
Really?
wanted to pass immigration reform. He couldn't get Congress on board.
I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
he's a Texan. He grew, he actually knows very well about the whole Rio Grande River area down there in Texas. So, he's aware of, what's going on there. And what's going on there is that we're not having an invasion. Yet we're not even having issues down there. What's going on there is that we're preventing people from being with their families, from escaping violence in Central America, and America needs workers over there.
Yeah.
All right. As a matter of fact, I think we had that woman on our show from the Butterfly. Did we have the Butterfly lady on yet?
No,
we have not aired it. Then I won't talk
that
about it.
yet.
Then I did the
Yeah.
interview, but we haven't aired the Butterfly.
Okay.
But
Something to-
you'll see.
something
You'll
to
see.
look forward
Something to
to.
look at. Well, I interviewed a woman. She's it'll probably air sometime later this week, I assume. Jill will tell me. Who runs a butterfly
Oh, yes.
facility
yes.
down at the border.
At the border, yes.
The Rio Grande, and she's saying, I don't know what Trump is talking about. This is very safe here.
Right.
But you'll see it's crazy what's going on, what the United States is doing right now with the border walls. So she was basically a reporter on the scenes.
Wow.
But we'll show that later this week. Meanwhile, so W, who we pine for. I wish we had W.
Look,
Right?
I'm
not even asking for a third term of Obama. At this point,
At this point, we'll take what we can get.
I would take what we could get. I mean, we had a normal guy. May not have agreed with his policies.
Hey.
All right, you may not have agreed with him going into Iraq. He caused the war. There's a lot of things I disagree with him.
Yeah.
But at least he was a normal man.
Yeah.
You could disagree with what he ultimately did and his policies, but he was sane.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? So anyway, he attended a naturalization ceremony in Dallas. And he says, America's elected representatives, I'm quoting W, he says, America's elected representatives have a duty to regulate who comes in and when. In meeting this responsibility, it helps to remember that America's immigrant history made us who we are. Amid all the complications of policy, may we never forget that immigration is a blessing and a strength. And we have a video.
Amid all the complications of policy, may we never forget that immigration is a blessing and a strength.
Didn't I just say that?
You said
the man just copied me. You know what? I like W, but boy, what a copycat that guy is, right?
He pulled a Melania.
Yes. He just stole my speech. Joe, fire our speechwriter, please. So, meanwhile, Bush was joined by his former wife, First Lady Laura Bush, and he also said, I wonder if he's going to copy this one too, we're a much richer state for all the cultures we have settled on our land. So this rhetoric and policy positions from the Bush came in contrast to what is going on in the Republican Party right now, especially with Donald Trump advocating the hardline immigration policies. In his speech Monday, Bush predicted just and fair immigration policies would eventually prevail, and hopefully that's the case. He also said, this is also a good quote, borders are not arbitrary and they need to be respected along with the fine men and women of the Immigration Service and the Border Patrol, which they do.
Yes.
Okay. So, and by the way, when you hear like the progressive liberals in America talking about Border Patrol and ICE, okay, I'm no fan of ICE.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
Nobody says we're fans of ICE here. Okay. But when they advocate to get rid of ICE, what they're doing is they are playing into the hands of the Republicans to say, look at that, these Democrats, they don't want anybody on the border.
Right.
They want everybody to come across.
Right.
We're the party of law and order. We're going to keep America safe. Democrats will never keep America safe. They want to get rid of ICE.
Right. We don't want to get rid of it.
Right. They want to get rid of it and put it in place with something else. But I think it just plays into their hands.
Of course.
And
yeah.
I think really what would be a much smarter thing would be to say, we love ICE. We just have to change it.
Right.
We love ICE. We love our Border Patrol people. We want to keep a safe
love
America.
is-
I know, but but you have to think like a politician.
Absolutely. Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
Right? We love ICE. We love our Border Patrol people. We want a safe America too.
Yeah.
But we want a fair America.
Yes.
And so we want to change ICE so that the system is
I
fair.
agree.
That would be a much smarter thing than say, get rid of it.
Get rid of it. Yeah. Then, yeah. Can't do that.
Yeah. Meanwhile, in Mozambique, how far is that from Ethiopia?
Mozambique, I don't know.
You don't know.
Let's see.
Okay, there's a cyclone, Ida. Cyclone Ida is going through Mozambique right now.
cyclone, yes, I see
Yeah,
that.
unfortunately, it's killed over 1,000 people already.
Oh, no.
So Mozambique is right on the Indian Ocean.
By Zimbabwe.
So it's almost close down to South Africa.
It's closer to South
Africa,
Africa.
right? Yeah, because I saw where Zimbabwe is. Yeah, so there's a
It's
terrible.
close to Madagascar.
Yeah. So it's a terrible cyclone. It says President Philippe Nyusi, if I'm pronouncing his name right, says officially we have a record of more than 84 dead, but everything indicates that we could have a record of more than 1,000 dead.
Sheesh.
And 100,000 people are in danger from this
my
cyclone.
gosh.
It's a real humanitarian disaster of huge proportions going on down there in Mozambique. The waters from the rivers Pungi and Buzi, or Pungi and Buzi, I don't know. I hope I'm pronouncing it right, have broken their banks, and they wiped out entire villages, isolating communities. And their infrastructure, I would guess, is not the best. It's not the best there to begin with. So I could only imagine the destruction and the despair and the
And they've never seen anything like
They've never
this?
seen anything like this, and the inhumanity that's going on there right now. Yeah,
That's horrible.
So, so our hearts go out to the people of Mozambique, and according to reports, Beira, B-E-I-R-A, Beira. Is that how I pronounce it? Yes. Or you're not sure.
B-E-R-A.
B-E-I-R-A. Beira, Mozambique there's massive and horrifying damage in that city in Mozambique. Meanwhile,
Look at that.
also internationally, if you have a green card and you lose it, and or for example you've heard me answer this question many times, you're going to have to apply to the immigration service if you've been out of the country for more than 1 year at a local consulate for what's called an SB1 visa to come back. You would do that at the Department of Homeland Security. Unfortunately, Trump is closing down the Department of Homeland Security around the world. So people who lose their green cards, they're not going to have the services.
Oh, wow.
Immigration services. People who have green cards out of the country more year, not going to have these services. They're going to have to go through the State Department at the consul level, which doesn't share the same information with the Department of Homeland Security. So the services that you're going to get a replacement green card so you can come back because you lost it. Okay, that would generally take a day. Now, because Trump is closing down every Department of Homeland Security office around the world, may take 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 weeks. They claim they're closing the 20 offices around the globe. It also helps, U.S. citizens adopt foreign children, and the reason why they're doing it is that they want to call these officers back stateside to help process with backlogged immigration applications.
So that's why they're closing it,
That's why
they
they're
say?
doing it, yes.
What do you think the real reason is?
They're just trying to F
course.
the immigrants.
That's it.
F the immigrants.
Golly.
What do you think the real reason is?
Right. That's the reason.
Yes. Meanwhile, you remember we had Patricia Okomo.
Yes.
She was on our show, actually. She was on our show twice, right? We had her interviewed once after she climbed the Statue of Liberty.
Yes.
Then she got arrested. Climbing the Eiffel Tower twice. And then she was facing jail time here in New York for climbing the Statue of Liberty.
Right.
We had her on our show before the final resolution of her case. And she had also climbed, Jill is reminding me, a facility in Austin, Texas.
She's a climber,
She's
that
a climber
one.
at detention. So, any event, her sentencing was today
what
for the
happened?
climb for the Statue of Liberty.
Uh-huh.
And what happened is that I'm told, although I don't see it here, she was facing up to 18 months in prison. She said she would, if she went to prison, she would go on a hunger strike.
Oh, God.
She told the judge, "I am not a criminal. You should not send me to jail." And Judge Gabriel Gorenstein ordered her to serve 200 hours of community service and put her on 5 years probation, warning her she will go to jail if she commits more protests by climbing. So he gave her a final
Look at
warning.
her.
And there's the abolish ICE. That's not helpful.
No.
The abolish ICE, you might as well held up a sign say elect Trump.
Right.
Why don't you hide?
Because
that's
that's just fuel
basically
for them.
That's exactly. So every time I see that, I just feel like walking over to somebody and say, "Why don't you just put up a sign that says elect Trump?"
Yeah. They're just going for the extreme. So do you feel like she's going to...
I think she's going to end up in jail.
Yeah?
I think she's going to keep climbing. But I don't know. I haven't spoken to her.
He definitely hooked her up. Did you think she was going to go to jail?
I thought she was going to jail. But this is New York. New York, the judges, most judges, not all, but most judges are liberal.
Oh, okay.
So, okay, but not all.
Uh-huh.
Not all.
So she got lucky with
She
this
got
one.
lucky. Not all. You can. I'm sure there's lots of people
That would
argue with me and say,
right.
"No, the judge threw me in jail for, made Judge Judy look like a princess." Okay, I hated my
Disney
judge.
princess.
Right. I'm not saying every judge. I'm just saying, but I would say as a criminal, you have a better shot in New York than if you climb the Statue of Liberty, and the Statue of Liberty would happen to have been in Texas. Or Oklahoma, or Arkansas. Okay, I would think the judges would be even much tougher
Alabama.
there. So everything, Alabama, exactly. So everything is in proportion to what another judge would have done somewhere else.
Yeah.
Because I know somebody's going to say, "Wait a second, Brad. I know lots of people go to jail and got really bad." Yes,
Right, of course, but we're
I'm
not
just
saying
saying in
all.
proportion,
Yeah.
right? And I'm saying in proportion to. This happened in Oklahoma, Arkansas. You
It's
go
a
to
wrap.
jail for years. It's a
Yeah.
wrap.
Yeah.
Right.
So she was lucky.
Right. Yeah, she go to court and say, "Judge, I'm not a criminal." Judge just says, "Yes, you are. You're going to jail for 5 years."
Whoop.
That's what would have happened down
Right.
south.
So can she
Right?
still protest, just not climb?
She can protest all she wants. What she
just
can't
can't
do is climb.
climb.
That's illegal.
Stay your ass on the ground, girl.
Yes.
Like,
Meanwhile, this is not too shocking. Okay. They did a study, Jonathan,
okay.
and I'm sure you've done this study on the streets, on Man on the Streets.
Okay.
Okay, you have done this study.
Is it
a
ratified marriage?
majority of Americans, when giving the citizenship test that you would have to pass to become a U.S. citizen, a majority of Americans in every state but one failed the citizenship test. That means in 49 out of 50 states, a majority of Americans were unable to pass the U.S. citizenship test,
Yikes.
which is basically a test of 6th grade history and government and civics.
I don't remember none of
Yes.
that.
The one state, if you had to guess the one state, what would you guess the one state that passes? It wouldn't be obvious, but just take a guess of a state.
Vermont.
Yes.
What?
Come on, Jonathan, you read the story.
Where did I read it?
I don't know. Yes, the majority of Americans in every state except Vermont would fail a test based on the questions in the U.S. citizenship test, according to the Woodrow Wilson National. Come on, you must have seen this.
Where?
I don't know. And why does this matter? Why does this matter? It suggests most Americans can't live up to the standards we set for people who are applying to be immigrants. And we set those standards because we expect Americans to be informed and engaged. But only 4 out of 10 Americans would have actually passed the test. And by the numbers, these are some more statistics. People did relatively well on the most basic questions. 7 out of 10, for example, knew Thomas Jefferson wrote the Declaration of Independence.
Okay, I knew that.
Right, and who was the president during World War II? Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
Yeah, no, I didn't know
Okay,
that.
but only 43% of the people knew who the president was during World War I. It was a survey by the Woodrow Wilson National Fellowship Foundation. Who do you think would be the president during World War I?
Woodrow Wilson?
Woodrow Wilson was in fact the president during World War I. but nearly 1 out of 4 idiots in America thought it was Teddy Roosevelt. And 56% didn't even know which countries we had a fight with in World War I. Do you know?
No.
Do you know what caused World War I?
No. I did back in the day.
It was the breakup of the Austrian kingdom.
Okay.
Austrian-German kingdom.
It ain't my...
Austria-Hungary kingdom,
okay.
whatever. Hungary,
Sorry,
Austria. But their seat of power was in Vienna, where I was just
It ain't
in.
my history. That's so crazy. Like, they have you learning this, but they don't teach us about the real history.
More than 6 out of 10 people thought the Constitution was written in 1776.
Yes.
Not correct.
Oh.
That's
when
a Declaration of Independence.
Yeah.
Was
I know
written
that's
in
in
1776.
Yes.
The Constitution was written in 1787. Yes,
like,
I'm right.
okay.
And that was at least 7 or 8 years after the end of the Revolutionary War. We were the Confederate States for a while until we had the Constitution and then became the United States.
Well, look at you. You probably would pass.
I think I would.
I wouldn't.
All right. So there you have it, Jonathan.
Guess C.
Yes.
Whenever
So
you
I
don't
think,
know.
I have some more. We don't have it yet, Jonathan. We
Whoa.
have more.
My goodness.
Yes. Congratulations in Vermont. The one
My favorite state.
the favorite state, the one state that can pass the citizenship
Right.
test. We have to congratulate the new mayor of Fairhaven, Connecticut. And Fairhaven, Vermont.
Okay.
The new mayor of Fairhaven, Vermont is his name is Lincoln, actually.
Oh, okay.
Surprisingly, unsurprisingly, or even more surprisingly, he is a 3-year-old goat. Lincoln
What?
was yes. There was Fairhaven is on the border of New York, and Lincoln the goat was up as an elected official to become mayor, and the town voted the goat in over all the other people.
Are you serious?
Yes, it is now the pet goat. They've decided can't possibly be the mayor, so they've made the goat the honorary mayor after he defecated all over the floor, and
You know what?
leaving the chief
I
of police and the deputy mayor to clean up after him.
That's insane.
Insanity.
This is what happens to our country.
Yes. All right, we got to get to some immigration questions, Jonathan Yo-Yo
Yeah.
Elias. In something we like to call, you got a question? Jonathan has no answers.
Has no answers.
But I
this
do.
Man does.
But I do.
He does.
So call 1-800-529-5465 and let's see, we got Moha in Arlington, Texas. Moha. We'll just wait for Moha.
You found it all?
How are you?
Found some of it. So I found this whole. We're done. I got this one. It's still in the truck, but I know where it's
Do you
at.
understand anything that
This one
Moha's saying to me?
No.
Is he even having a conversation with me, or is he having a
don't think
conversation
so.
with somebody else?
Hello, sir.
It should be. I almost got that.
I think he's having a conversation with
Arlington.
somebody else.
Yes, no. That wasn't with you.
Yeah, that's it. I can only go so far from Moha.
Yeah.
John in Dallas, Texas.
Hi, good afternoon.
How are you?
Doing great.
What can I do to help you?
Thank you for this opportunity. Yeah.
Yes.
I am on F1 status.
Right.
And my wife is A2.
E2, you said?
A2.
A2. She
Diplomatic.
works for the diplomatic immunity, like in
Yeah.
Lethal Weapon 2. I was talking
A2.
about that. Yes, A2. That's
Yeah,
the.
so
Right, she works for the UN.
So last year their diplomatic status was terminated, so I did a transfer of status from A2 to F2.
Uh-huh.
And then I just received a letter from the immigration people for me to submit a form called I-566.
Yes, because she has to waive her diplomatic immunity. I just had
Yeah,
I just had a conversation with that with Jilly. Right? Yes.
Okay.
Yes. We just discussed. We didn't even know you were calling. We talked about your case. Yes, you
Oh
had.
my
You got
God.
it signed by the consulate. where
that is it.
Right, I know.
And the question I have now for you, that is, I don't know how you can help, whether you can help or advise, is the person that brought her here, because the mission is terminated, is already gone back to the country.
Right, but there's got to be somebody who replaced that person. You got to go to the replacement.
Okay. So we just need to go to the consulate to do that.
Correct. Just go to the replacement. There's somebody there who took that person's job, and they're the responsible official to sign it. There's at every consulate with every country, there's some responsible official. You may not know who the person is, but if you call the consulate, you can figure it out. You may know who that responsible person is to get that signed.
Okay, so but in the place of filling the place now of the person that brought her here,
would be the new person.
Okay.
All right.
Because, I mean, in the form that I have to fill, I-566, I need to fill the place of the person that brought her here, but the person is not here.
That's right. Just the new person is fine.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay. Because it's not that person, it's the government. They're representing the government, and the government's saying that we are waiving this person's diplomatic immunity.
Okay.
All right. So it's not an individual person does it. It's the government of whatever country your wife worked for.
Okay.
All right.
So is that the same with to submit the A visa category Department of State for exception and endorsement? Is that the same thing?
Are you reading off the form? I haven't seen the form in a while, but you get that form signed and then you submit it back with the RFE.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
All right. All right. Jilly, did I just talk to you about that? She says absolutely.
She said absolutely.
You know what I want to do, Jonathan? I'm trying to get Jilly to come on camera. Everybody wants that.
I would love that.
Right?
I think she's amazing.
Yes. Or at least if she won't come on camera,
they can hear
her.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
She says all funny things in my ear all the time. So it makes me laugh, but nobody else. Right?
So you just start laughing out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's like my own personal, comedian.
Yeah.
But everyone should be able to share Jilly. I should be able to share Jilly with everybody.
There you go.
There
yes.
You go. She's silent right now.
Yeah.
First time ever. Let's go to Ryan in Newark, New Jersey. Ryan.
Hi, hello.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, my name is Ryan Glasgow. I called with an immigration question. I have a cousin. He went and do his immigration test. He passed the. I think he passed the first part, but he have a problem with the reading part. So I wanted to know what did he do with that part.
How long has he had a green card?
He had a green card since 2007.
And how old is he?
Pardon me?
How old?
27.
Okay. All right. So he never learned to read? Why can't he read?
No, he had a problem with his back in his country. He had a problem. He hit his head and.
Okay.
He never.
All right. So he has some sort of cognitive brain injury. All right, or cognitive traumatic brain injury, or whatever it may be. What would have to happen is that we would have to, or he would have to, go to a neurologist who would run tests on him, and then fill out a special immigration form that says because he has this cognitive brain injury, or traumatic brain injury, that he's unable to read as a result of this injury. And the doctor would then have to submit that form back to immigration to have the reading part of the citizenship test waived because of a medical condition.
Okay.
All right, we can help. Okay, hold on one second.
Pardon me?
I can help if you need. Hold on one second. Let's go to Kalisha in Fishers, Indiana. Kalisha.
Hello, good evening, Brad. How are you doing?
How are you?
I'm good.
What's going on?
I just have a question. Yes. I'm an F1 student, but I think I spoke to you sometime last year.
Right.
And I filed my adjustment of status. And when I do the adjustment of status, I also do the I-131 and the I-765.
Okay.
So I had a trip planned from last year, so I think I will get my travel documents so I could go on the trip in April. but actually, I don't get the travel documents as yet. But my student visa, it expires in September, and I still have my I-120.
You can't use the student visa to travel. You need to get the advanced parole. So if you can't...
I can't use it?
No. Because you'd be coming back once you leave the country without advanced parole on an adjustment, that terminates the adjustment. And you can't re-enter on a student visa because that's a non-immigrant intent. You'd be committing a misrepresentation by saying you're planning on a temporary stay when in fact you're planning on a permanent stay. So that would totally screw you up forever. So what you need to do instead is make an appointment to go down to immigration, bring proof of your trip, and see if you can get the advanced parole issued to you at the local office.
Okay, thanks much, Brad.
You're very welcome.
Okay, have a good evening.
You too. All right, let's go to Vicky in Baltimore, Maryland. Vicky.
Hi, Brad.
How are you?
Hello, Heather. Fine, thank you. Thanks for taking my call.
My pleasure.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
I have a cousin that was approved through VAWA, and this is about 2 years ago. And how long does she have to wait to file for her citizenship?
Was the abuse by a U.S. citizen or by a resident?
By a U.S. citizen, and she's
she can file her citizenship 3 months before the 3-year anniversary of her getting her green card through VAWA.
Okay, thanks. And can she travel internationally?
Absolutely, why not? She has a green card.
I know she was sharing with me that there's a clause you can be out of the country for more than 18 months or half of the
No, you can't
year.
you can't be out to become a citizen. You have to be in the country for at least 18 out of 36 months. No trip out of the country more than 6 months at a time. So taking a trip abroad, yes. Going to live abroad, no. Those are two different concepts.
Okay, so she can travel, but she can travel less than 18 months.
Correct.
So in other words, she has to be in this
permanently
country
in the United States more than anywhere else.
Okay, so she has to be here for 18 months straight?
No, she has to be here for, when you add up all the time, she's here 18 months. No trip more than 6 months.
Since she's had a green card?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. All right, let's go to Paul in Statesville, North Carolina. Paul.
Hey, good evening. How are you?
How are you?
Fine, thanks. Got a question. A person living here without status who has claimed citizenship and worked for almost 20 years, is there hope for that person?
Maybe. I don't know enough about this person.
Married to a U.S. citizen, by the way.
The answer is yes, there's hope. 100%.
Okay.
Whenever you're married to a U.S. citizen, I will mostly say there's hope. Not always, but most of the time.
Most of the time. I was told by another lawyer that there is no hope.
Why?
And he said there is President Clinton had signed into law that is a removable offense, and it's.
What was the offense? Tell me the offense again.
The offense is claiming citizenship.
Ah, okay. When did you claim citizenship?
That's probably maybe more than 20 years ago.
Okay. So what the law says is that if you made a false claim to U.S. citizenship for obtaining a benefit, then...
Is a job a benefit? Is that classified as a benefit?
Maybe. But there's a lot of case law on it, and it's very specific on which federal statutes you actually pled guilty to and which ones you didn't. So it's not as straightforward as you made a false claim to U.S. citizenship, and then that's a blanket thing that you could never get a green card. It really depends on what you pled guilty to. I do not have every possible statute memorized in my head on what you could have been pled guilty to. So, but the answer is it is definitely worth looking into exactly what was pled guilty to, what was the actual facts of your case, and see whether or not we can make an argument that
you said pled guilty to.
Correct.
I claimed citizenship.
Okay. Making a false claim to citizenship is a bar to getting a green card. Absolutely. But that doesn't mean that what you did would particularly bar you if you were not pled guilty to something. You were not found guilty of it.
Okay, got you. I hear you.
And if in fact, there's evidence that you absolutely did say, I'm a U.S. citizen and did something, the fact is you don't have a criminal conviction. If you were put into a removal proceeding, you would be eligible for cancellation or removal. So there's hope.
Right.
I'm not saying you're getting a green card, but to say there's no hope, it's certainly worth a consultation. So hold on one second. All right. Let's go to Mohammed in Jordan. In Jordan, the country.
Hi, Mr. Brad. How are you?
Mohammed in the Middle East, Jordan. How are you? What time is it there?
Yes, the only one who's calling you from Jordan.
I know. What time is it there?
It's 12:35 night.
You must have a really burning question to wait up till 2 a.m. to speak to me, right?
Okay, I have two questions.
Yes.
Both of them for my friend. The first one is my friend, he was married here in Jordan, and he got two kids, but he got divorced. Then he moved to United States. He got permanent resident, the 10 years, and his wife got a visa. Then she moved there, and they got together again. They have two kids now, and he was wondering, like one of his kids is 1 year, the other one is 2. Both of them U.S. citizens. His wife is overstay, and his kids with no visa, but they are in school. They are there since 4 years. Is there any way they can apply to any kind of status that they can be able to be legal?
All right, so let me get this straight. He got his green card through one marriage. He got divorced, and now he's in a relationship with another woman with the kids, right?
No, the first woman, he got divorced here in Jordan.
Right.
He came back to her.
He came back to the first
and he
woman
got two
in
kids
Jordan.
with her.
I understand. Well, he could always file for the 2 kids. That's not a problem. He can do that right away. Now, how long ago? You can fall in love, fall out of love, and I guess fall back in love with the first person. You just have to be able to prove that all of your marriages were bona fide. There was nothing done with any fraudulent intent. And also have to wait at least 5 years after he got his green card before he files for the first wife, which is actually the third wife. But I think it's worth a conversation, and just let's make sure.
No, Mr. Brad, there is no third wife. It's only 2. The first wife, he got divorced here. He got 2 kids with her. Then he came to America. He got married. He got 10 years a green card, and then he got divorced with her. Later,
and then went back and married the first wife. Right. It's marriage number 3.
Yes.
3 marriages, 2 women.
Okay.
So right. So the first woman is wife number 1 and 3, and the second woman is wife number 2. So you have to be able to prove
correct.
that. Right. So you have to be able to prove that all these marriages were done with true intent and love and bona fide, and then you're fine.
Okay. Can he apply now because he got 2 kids with a U.S. citizen?
How long has he had the green card?
2014.
He can apply 5 years. I don't know what month in 2014. He has to wait at least 5 years from the time he got his green card before applying for the wife, and he can apply for the kids now.
Okay, so what do you recommend for him? To wait until he gets the citizenship and then apply for all of them?
He can do that, or he can file for them, whenever, but at least after the 5-year wait. But quite frankly, he's already married to her, so he has to, acknowledge he's married to her on his citizenship. So these are questions that are going to come up on the citizenship anyway. What was your true intent on all these marriages? So he should file for them as soon as possible. But he has to wait at least 5 years from the time that he got his initial green card.
Yeah.
And he probably and I would argue very strongly that he needs a good lawyer.
Okay. And the second question is, I have a guy who used to work with me in the United States, and he got in a car accident. His visa was B1, B2, and he got in a car accident, and he went in a coma. So he over his visa for I think 30 days more after his visa, and he left the country. Now he went to the U.S. Embassy, and they refused to give him any visa. And even he explained to them that he was in a coma, and the hospital even sent to the embassy, and two of his brothers went to the United States on emergency visa because he was in a coma between life and death. So he want to know if there is any way he can prove to them or just go back as he was before.
Yeah. I think you need to go to the higher ups, and again, that's something you're gonna need a lawyer to deal with. Simply just speak to the higher ups and say what's going on is not fair.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Right, hold on.
Thank you.
Okay. Mohammed.
From Jordan.
From Jordan. Sandra from Queens. A little closer. Sandra.
Hello?
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I wanted to find out how long will it take for me to get my green card? I wanted to start on my green card. Not my green card, my citizenship, sorry.
It's taking anywhere from 12 months to 30 months now.
Okay,
All right,
thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
And I have a cousin that is married to a green card holder. How long will she be able to get his
3 years.
green card?
3 years.
3 years.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Let's go to Philip in Conroe, Texas. Philip.
It sounded like it went out.
Went out.
Yeah.
Goodbye, Philip. Let's go to Anne-Marie in the Bronx. Anne-Marie.
Hi, good afternoon, Brad.
Yes. What's going on?
Yes.
Go ahead, Anne-Marie.
I have a question. My friend, she got married and she got her work permit.
Right.
However, she had a teenager son, so she didn't. They didn't put the papers in for the son, but now she wanted to put the papers in. She's still waiting on interview. She wants to know if she can go ahead.
Yes, you can. The husband can file for the teenage son. Absolutely.
Oh, even if she's still just waiting on the interview, she hasn't got her green card.
That's fine.
Oh, okay.
That's fine. You can file two separate applications at the same time.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay. Bye bye.
Let's go to Miriam in Macon, Georgia. Miriam.
Hi. Hello?
Hello.
Yes, hi. I have a question. I have a friend that went to Africa and got married to someone there, and they want to file for them. How long does it usually take?
They married the person in Africa?
Yes.
It takes about 15 to 18 months.
15 to 18 months. And then, what forms and proof do they need? Because I helped them fill the I-30 and then the I-30A. And what else do they need?
You don't need anything now. You just need marriage certificate, birth certificates, proof you're a citizen, file it.
Okay.
All right.
So it's going to take 15 to 18 months? Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Let's go to Ashley in Durham, North Carolina.
Yes, hi.
Hi, Ashley.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
Fabulous. What's going on?
My brother is detained. He filed a pro se habeas. It's been 2 months and he hasn't heard anything back.
He filed a habeas corpus petition in federal court?
Yes.
He has a lawyer?
No, he did it pro se.
Okay, well, that's why he hasn't heard anything back. Why is he in jail?
He was ordered removed.
Okay, and why was he ordered removed?
Criminal charges.
And what were the criminal charges?
It was a lot of charges. It was like domestic violence, like fighting an officer, not really fighting them, but
Why does he believe habeas corpus is bring the prisoner forward that he's being illegally held? Why does he believe?
Right.
Why does he believe he's being illegally held?
He's been held for a long time, almost 2 years, and they can't. There's no. The
Okay.
country doesn't recognize.
The country's not recognizing him as a citizen, so they have to release him. Okay, and that is a proper habeas corpus. They have to give him. They have to give him a custody review. If there's no possibility of having him removed, they can't keep him in jail forever. That is absolutely illegal. I don't know why he hasn't heard. Maybe he did it wrong, but certainly he has every right to bring a habeas corpus petition forward. Government, after 6 months, the law says after 6 months, if the government can't remove you, they have to release you unless you are a threat to society. So they should have done a custody review, and if he's not a threat to society, then they should release him, period. If they can never send him back, and there's no possibility ever in the history of the world that they will be able to send him back, and that's what I'm hearing right now, they can't hold him forever even if he is a threat to society. They got to release him because he's already done his criminal time. They can't hold him for more criminal time than he's already been sentenced for.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I don't know why they haven't scheduled a hearing. A habeas corpus should be immediate, like within weeks. It's an injunction. Hey, you're holding me illegally. Get me out of jail.
That's another thing I was wondering, because the Supreme Court case today was saying some things about it was okay to continue a criminal alien in detention, and I wasn't sure if that affected that.
No.
Affected him.
No, that's about taking people and not giving them bail. That's something different, which we'll talk about
Okay,
tomorrow.
and I have just one more question.
Yes.
You remember the thing that was a few months back about Pereira versus Sessions? I was wondering what were the results when people actually tried to apply that to their situation.
Which case are you talking about?
Pereira versus Sessions.
Pereira.
When they found
which one was the
about the NTA not having the dates for the court hearings on it.
Oh! What happened with them? They all got new NTAs.
Really?
Yeah. But people still have a right to reopen those cases that didn't have the proper documentation.
Okay.
All
okay.
right?
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Let's go to Hassan in Bronx. Hassan.
How you doing, sir?
How are you?
I'm good. My question is, as my cousin had been here for 20 years already. He was detained and in detention for 6 months, and after that they granted his asylum, and he win the case, and they gave him a work ID.
Great.
When he's about to apply for his green card, and they deny his case again, they remove the case, and they send the case they put it on pending, and since from that time he never follow up on his case.
Wait. He
I don't know.
applied for asylum, he was granted it, and then they, what?
He applied for asylum and
I don't understand. How did they approve it and then they took it away? Unless a judge approved it and then immigration appealed, and on the appeal,
Yeah, immigration
appealed. Okay,
against
fine. All right. So he won his asylum. Immigration
Right.
appealed against the judge, and immigration actually won, and then they took it away. And what they probably
Right.
said is he needs a new hearing.
Okay.
All right. So he has to go for a new hearing now. All right. So
Okay.
so what
But
immigration
he's been
said
here
is that the
almost
judge
20 years.
what he said is I can't tell you more than what I'm just interpreting what you're telling me. Okay? So I can interpret what you're telling me and tell you what's going on. Can I tell you what he should do? No, I have no idea. I don't know anything about the case. But I'll tell you what's going on. He applied for his asylum. He won. The immigration, just like if he lost, he has a right to appeal. The Immigration Service has a right to appeal if they think that the judge screwed up against the Immigration Service. So Department of Homeland Security appeals, and the appeals judge said, you're right, the judge did something wrong, and had the judge done the job the proper way, maybe there would have been a different result. So we're going to send it back down to the judge and have him redo your asylum hearing and do it properly. And we'll see what that result is. So that's where he is. Is he going to win? Is he going to lose? I have no idea.
Okay. Even regardless, he's been here for almost 20 years. He never follow up on the case. He can still try to.
You're preaching to the wrong guy. I can help you, but I ain't the judge. So whether he's here for 20 years or 100 years, that has nothing to do with his asylum case. All right? But if he needs help, I'm happy to help him. Now, luckily, I assume he's in the Bronx because that's where you are. I'm in Manhattan, so you can just kind of boogie on downtown and see me. How's that?
Boogie down.
Boogie on down, right?
Boogie
Hold on one
down.
second. All right.
All right, sounds.
You're welcome, Hassan. All right. He's pleading his case to me, Hassan.
He was.
But I can't help him. I don't know. I mean, I can help him once I know more about the case.
Right.
But I can't help him yet.
Boogie on down. I'm
down.
still on that.
Yes. He's on down.
He's on no, but the Boogie Down Bronx.
Boogie Down Bronx.
Yeah.
Yeah, just boogie on down to Money Making Manhattan. Right? Isn't that what they call it?
Money Making Manhattan?
Money Making Manhattan.
It makes sense.
Right? And boogie down Bronx. I don't know what they call Brooklyn and Queens, though. I have no idea.
I'm not from New York, so I wouldn't
You
know.
don't
I
know.
just know about Boogie Down Bronx because that's where like hip hop started and whatnot. But, yeah.
All right. Excellent.
Amen.
Amen. Monica in Patterson, New Jersey.
Hi, Brad.
How are
Good
you?
evening.
How you doing?
I'm good.
What's going on?
I'm okay. I'm asking a question pertaining to my girlfriend in Georgia.
Yes.
She put in her she's filing with her husband, is a U.S. citizen, and she's trying to get her green card. But what happened? She did her biometric and waiting on her work permit. But she's been abused by her husband. He's telling her to get out. He hit her on her hands and all of those things right now. So she's going through it. So she would like to know what she should do.
Get out. Why stay in an abusive relationship? Ultimately, she'll be able to file a VAWA case. She can't do it at the moment, but she should certainly collect her documentation. She's in no rush to do it because she has her application in already. She has a work permit, or her work permit's on the way. She won't get an interview for a year. By then, VAWA will be back, and she'll be able to switch it up at her time of her interview. Get out, take the documentation to prove that it's a real marriage, and start putting together the documentation for the VAWA case. Don't stay in a domestic violence situation.
She shouldn't stay at the house now because he wants her out and he's even running her around the table.
Get out. Why stay
knife.
there? Get out. Call the police. Okay, then if he's running around the table with a knife, okay, then call the police and have the man arrested. And guess who's out? He's out now. Okay? So I don't care. I don't even care if he owns the house. If he's pulling a knife on her, call the police. The police will arrest him. He will be in jail. There will be an order of protection against him. She will be safe. And even if he owns the house, he won't be allowed back in the house that he owns. And his wife will be allowed to live there. That's what she should do. And then file a VAWA case.
Oh, my God. I'm asking a question pertaining to myself now. October coming, I will have my 2 years green card for 3 years. So I would like to know when I can do my citizenship.
You don't have the tenure yet.
No, because I already sent in for the 10-year. I'm waiting on the 10-year.
Well, conceivably, you can do it now as long as you can prove it's a bona fide marriage. But, unless there's some rush to become a citizen, wait out the I-751.
So I should just wait until next year, April, before I file for the citizenship?
No, you can do it now. You've had your green card for 3 years. You can do it now. I'm saying.
No, it will be October coming, Brad. It will be 3 years.
Oh, then call me in October and I'll tell you what to do. We'll see what immigration's doing at that point.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
You're welcome. All right. Let's go to Philip in Conroe, Texas again. Maybe we got him now.
Yeah, hello.
Hey, there he is.
Can you hear me now?
How are you? I hear you now. He took 3 steps to the left and then pulled his knees in tight. Run through the finger up.
Please, I have 2 questions.
Yes.
My first question is, I came to the U.S. on an M1 visa.
M1?
M1 visa for a short program.
Right. You're like it's like a mechanic program or some sort of vocational program.
Yeah, some sort of vocational program. Right. But I had some 2 exams that I have to write. The exams went beyond my visa expiration date. But my I-94 is later. And I wanted to find out, am I valid to be in the United States? Because my visa
it's based on the I-94. The visa doesn't only allows you to cross a border. It's when you're on the I-94, will tell you how long you're allowed to stay.
Okay, thank you very much. I consulted the school.
Yes,
I consulted
yeah, it's fine.
the academy that I went to.
Yes,
and they told me that I have to leave because my visa has expired and the I-94 doesn't hold for M1 visa.
Well, whatever it says on your I-94, you're allowed to stay here. If you have a concern, then what you should do is have a consultation with me and let me look at everything that you're looking at.
Thank you very much. There's another question, please.
Yes.
I have a girlfriend here who is an American.
Right.
And she wants us to get married. She doesn't want me to go back. But from the series of our chat and our talking, she told me quite recently that she had a problem with the police. She was arrested a couple of years ago, and she was asked to pay some fine, but she wasn't paying them. It has accumulated. And I wanted to know, is that going to be a problem?
Well, she's got to pay the fines. What were the fines for?
Oh, okay.
Wait. You don't have to ask my question. What were the fines for?
She said, I think when she was a minor, she drove without a license and she knocked somebody down.
She hurt somebody?
She hurt somebody, yes.
Okay. What was she arrested?
Yes, she said she was arrested, but she was not allowed to drive.
All right. So she needs to get a disposition for the arrest and pay all the fines, or she's not going to get a green card. All right, and then hopefully it's a minor offense.
Okay. So if I want to contact your office,
hold on one second.
Program, can I record this number?
Yes, same telephone number. Hold on 1 second. All right, Jonathan, Yo-Yo Elias, we have a lot to do still here.
We do.
There's a lot of people right now who left a lot of questions on Facebook. I don't know why I'm doing this, but I'll do it anyway. On Facebook and YouTube.
Yes.
And they're dying to get their questions answered. And we have a section of our show that we like to call Social Media Check-In.
All right, our first one comes from Beth saying, I have a question in concurrent AOS we filed back in 2016 and still no decision from the interview last February of 2018.
How long have they been waiting now? The interview was when?
Filed back 2016 and no decision from the interview last February of 2018.
All right, they need, either...
And this is for U.S. citizen work issues.
For
it says,
her citizenship?
Yeah.
Okay, if your citizenship is pending more than 120 days and you have a good citizenship case, you should file what's called a de novo review in federal court, take it out of the Immigration Service's hands, and let a federal judge decide. That's what I'm telling everybody now, because these citizenships are taking forever. 120 days, no answer. As long as you know you have an open and shut case on citizenship, you go right into federal court. That's what I tell you.
All right. And that's in concurrent AOS.
Oh, this is not citizenship. This is for a green card.
I'm saying she was a U.S. citizen.
Oh, my apologies then. Take everything I said back.
Right.
I thought this was a citizenship.
No,
this is an adjustment.
AOS. Yeah,
well, either they don't believe it's a real marriage and they're going to schedule you for a Stokes, or I don't know what happened on the interview. So I need to know more what happened on the interview so I can tell you what to do.
Exactly.
Right,
okay. All right, Bella saying, hey, Brad, I have a pending asylum case of 2016 last year. I won a diversity green card visa lottery here in 2019. So I'm confused. Almost every single lawyer told me that there's no chance to adjust the status through the green card lottery because of pending asylum case. I acted like a stubborn person, and anyway, and sent the application and paid the $330 fee. I didn't receive any notice from them for processing. Now I'm in marriage with a U.S. citizen. What can happen on this interview, because I have a pending asylum case and submitted the application of 2019 green card lottery?
Ay, ay, ay.
Yeah,
she's
stubborn. She
stubborn.
At least she admitted to it.
All right. Number one, you can't, if you're out of status, which would be you came on a visa, or you entered without inspection, even if you have a pending asylum case, if you're beyond the status of your visa, you can't adjust here on a visa lottery unless you're 245I, which most people are not anymore. You would have to go home, and then if you go home to pick up your green card on the visa lottery, you just claimed asylum. That's fraud. Because how are you now able to go home when you said you couldn't go home 3 months ago, right?
Yeah.
So that's why you can't do the visa lottery. As far as getting married, as long as you came here on a visa, you're going to file your adjustment, but you're also going to withdraw your asylum case because you can't have both going at the same time. There you have it.
Awesome.
Right.
Belle says, I have an ongoing annulment in the Philippines, which takes 1 to 2 years. Do we need to wait till it's granted before my U.S. citizenship boyfriend or U.S. citizen boyfriend files for the K-1 visa?
Yes, you have to be free to get married before you file for the K-1 visa.
Awesome. And BB says, hey, Brad, I have a few questions for you. I'm trying to fill out the petition for my alien spouse who... My alien spouse.
Your alien spouse.
Yes. I remember you said you don't like that.
I hate that.
So I didn't think that.
The spouse from Mars.
Yeah, right. I don't like hearing that. And it's crazy because back in the day, like, when I heard it, I understood it was immigrants. But, like, now that I hear it because of, like, just how we, how the world is right now.
To me, you're an undocumented human being.
Yeah.
Okay? You're not an illegal alien.
Yeah.
When you say illegal alien, it feels like, and I say this all the time, and words matter because words change people's perceptions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so when you hear illegal alien, you think they're criminal, and they're from another world that has nothing to do with your world.
Right.
So why would I want this person from another world that has nothing to do with my world?
Have you ever always felt that way?
Yes.
Okay, I think I started, maybe because my family were aliens as well,
Right.
but like I think because of the status of our country now, when I hear alien, I just like I cringe.
Yeah, it's like Men in Black.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So petition for my alien spouse who is detained, and I'm wondering, how do I submit the 2 passport photos for my spouse that is necessary for the petition if he's detained? And what is a full list of petitions that I should submit for full status adjustment for someone in deportation status?
Right. So the spouse is the U.S. citizen and he's in jail?
Yes. So, no. The spouse is not a U.S. citizen and he's in jail. So she wants to know how she can submit the 2 photos for the spouse that's necessary for the petition.
She needs a lawyer. Before you start putting in petitions for people in jail, you better get a lawyer. Because I need to know a lot more before you just start filing stuff with
Right. So do you not want to give the full list of petitions?
No. I will give her my telephone number.
Okay. And last, do you have any advice on getting a waiver approved?
I don't even know what waiver you need.
Yeah. This definitely is a case where they need to call you. So call Brad. Noreen says, my husband's owing tax. He got deported. He was paying. We never filed together. Is this going to hurt my N-400?
If you have a joint tax liability, it could hurt your N-400.
Okay. Mariama says, how long does it take to bring your spouse out of the country? Bring your spouse out of the country.
Bring your spouse out of the country here to America?
Yes. What forms do I need?
File an I-130, and it's 12 to 18 months.
Okay. She said she filed an I-130 and an I-130A.
You don't need the I-130A, just the I-130.
Just need the I-130. All right. Dion says, what's the cost to file an I-751?
What's the cost to file? $680. $725 is the citizenship. I get confused on filing fees sometimes. $680.
$680. Okay, I thought you was like $680. I was like, woof, 7,000, 680. It says 680.
It says most likely, yes.
Most likely. Okay. Sandra says, hey Brad, please, how long will it take for a working permit to be issued after a fingerprint in a case of asylum?
Well, working permits right now are taking about 5.5 months.
Levane says, I sent in papers from December 2018 and I already did my biometrics. I'm currently waiting on my work permit. How long should I wait?
5.5 months.
Fatima says, hey Brad, I went to get my citizenship, but they asked me for one document I late to bring, they disqualified me. So probably was late to bring one document and they disqualified her.
You got to refile again. With all your right documents this time.
Right. Ken Kibbett says, hey, Brad, my QN is, that's the question. If I hypothetically applied for the renewal of my work permit today, how long would it take to get a receipt and how long to get the actual work permit?
5.5 months.
Yes, a lot of the same ones. Yeah. Fatima says, Brad, if my green card is expired, should I renew it before I get my citizenship?
Yes, because citizenship is taking a long time.
Levane says, my friend had a baby in the U.S. in 2005 and never came back. and that's it. So that.
Mazel tov on the baby.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Try to get Jonathan to do the bar mitzvah in a few years. There you go.
I'll be
Let's
here.
go. Right. Next.
Everald Owen. Right. Everald Owen had paid the $1,000 penalty in January 14, 1998, pursuant to his 245I as an alien that came look-alike visa passport. Does the waiver enter without inspection, only not in misrepresentation and fraud?
Yes, I understand.
Yeah, I didn't understand
He
that.
needs to do. He's getting married. He has to go back home. So he needs to do an I-8, a 601A waiver in the U.S. for the provisional waiver for the 10-year bar, but then he would have to do a misrepresentation waiver when he goes home. So it's two different waivers.
Okay, Erla says, hey, Brad, want to go for my citizenship, but I heard because I don't file taxes with my husband, there's a problem.
If it's 5 years of a green card, it's not a problem. If it's 3 years, it is a problem.
Okay, Josie says, my question is, my cousin filed to renew her work permit in September last year. It said fingerprints are done. October, her work permit was to expire in February. I guess the fingerprints were done in October. Her work permit was going to expire in February this year. How long again before they send her card? Right, this is one that you don't know what the government is. Usually how long
I
does
feel
it
like
take?
I
Oh.
don't know.
Little Michael Jackson move right there.
I thought that was more like Egyptian mummy.
Yeah,
move.
well, Remember the Time.
Michael
Jackson
Okay,
music
fine.
video.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Trying not to be Michael Jackson,
Right.
just so you know, okay?
Michael is still the king of pop.
Well, yes.
All right. Okay, Sandra says, Brad, if someone is given a work permit in New York, can he or she use it to work in any state of the U.S. and vice versa?
Yes, but if it's based on a marriage and you're going to go work in another state, then you're going to have a problem on your marriage case.
Mm-hmm. Mandy, that's a good one, you know? Because
I got my work permit. I'm supposed to be married with my husband in New York, but I'm going to go move to Florida to work. Guess what? You're not living with your husband anymore. Great, you got a job in the short term, and you bought yourself a deportation order in the long term.
Woo. All right, Mandy says, is it possible to get a driver's license overstay? She's overstayed or out of the status for 5 years already.
It is impossible. You can't get a driver's license.
You can't?
Cannot.
All right, Levain says, I have a friend. Oh, Levain is back. Finally, the full baby story.
Full baby story.
Yes.
Okay.
I have a friend who had a baby in the U.S. in 2005 and used their system, hence she never paid for the hospital services. And she never came back, but now she wants to come back but fears that she'll get in trouble with immigration. Will she be denied a visa if she renews it?
Yes.
Or will she be fined for it?
Denied.
Fadi, I even knew that.
Right, denied.
I was like, yikes.
All right, let me ask you. I came to the United States on a visitor's visa. I didn't tell them I was pregnant. I got pregnant, or I was pregnant already. I gave birth. I used U.S. government assistance to give birth. I overstayed on my visa. I took my baby and I went home. I'd like to come back and do it again. What do you think?
Yeah.
The government's going to let you do that?
No. Yeah, Fadi says, is it safe to travel on an AP if you overstayed your I-94?
Oh, by the way, I said Linda's at the emergency room. I wish her well. I hope she's okay.
Oh.
I don't know what's wrong with her, but I hope you're okay. I just saw that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, go ahead now.
Is it safe to travel on an AP if you overstayed your I-94 by 21 days before submitting a marriage-based AOS?
Yes, it's fine. Perfectly safe.
Okay. Sherry Williams says, my sister had a baby with her boyfriend. She wants to marry him, and in May, when he comes to visit and file for him, would it be a problem if it's under 90 days?
It is a problemo.
Paula says, okay, Paula said, did they show you?
Yes, they did. What can you do? It's live. It's live. What can you do?
Paula, now you know it ain't me.
Now you're right. All right. They don't call it the Yo-Yo Show. It's the Brad Show, right?
Paula says, hey, Brad, if married in the U.S. and overstayed and filed for and passport expired, can it be renewed in the U.S.?
what can the passport be? Whose passport
if you're
would-
married in the U.S. and overstayed, filing for a passport expired.
Yes, you're going to renew it at whatever country consulate you're from.
Okay, Samantha says, why is the wait so long if a U.S. citizen's parents filing for their children who are over 21?
Because they only give about 21,000 green cards a year in that category, and hundreds of thousands of people are applying.
All right, last one.
Last one.
From Natasha saying, hey, Brad, nice seeing you back on the show.
Oh, thank you.
I'm doing a VAWA application. My husband has a restraining order, but he wants me to do a joint tax return. Do you think this is best doing a joint tax return?
If you're doing a VAWA with him,
Yes.
you don't have to bother with him. And you have he has a restraining order, don't talk to him.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if it's like the ex-husband, but it says I'm doing a VAWA application. My husband has a restraining order, but he wants to, yeah.
So the answer is no, don't do it. And he has a restraining order, and stay away from him.
Okay.
All right, and it's not necessary because you're doing a VAWA.
Okay.
All right. So meanwhile, I had an opportunity to speak to Alejandra Pablos, who's an immigrants' rights activist. She calls herself an imperfect immigrant in a letter she wrote that was published by Elle magazine this year. Alejandra is currently fighting an order of deportation herself, and she came on to talk to me about her situation, the condition of the detention center in Arizona where she stayed for many months while she was fighting her deportation order, and her fight for immigrants' rights. This is a woman who has been ordered deported and is still fighting for her rights and everybody else's rights who are here. Let's watch. On January 8th, 2019, Elle magazine published an article by Alejandra Pablos titled Letter from an Imperfect Immigrant. Alejandra is an immigrant rights activist who is currently fighting her order of deportation, claiming that although she has a criminal record, it is her status as an outspoken immigrant rights activist that has caused her to be up for deportation. Here to discuss her story and what she means when she calls herself an imperfect immigrant is Alejandra Pablos. Welcome, Alejandra, and thank you for taking the time out to come and talk to us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
In this article that you published that was very well received, you wrote that you're not married, you have chosen not to have children, my sexuality is fluid, I have been arrested and I am not a dreamer, I'm highly vocal about systemic injustice, and you titled this article, Letter from an Imperfect Immigrant. Why does all of this make you imperfect?
It makes me imperfect because I don't fit into the normal mold, the standard mold. I don't have kids. I'm not that dreamer. Again, you mentioned all of those beautiful things that people here in the United States have experienced. And additionally, that I am an immigrant. If I was a U.S. citizen, I would still be facing, this dissent because I'm speaking up against the systemic oppressions that a lot of people are facing.
So you're single. Is that like not what a typical immigrant should be?
I think the reason why I use that actual identity is because we live in a world that has put us into these structures, right? We're supposed to have a parent and a mother, a dad and a mother and a kid, and produce and produce products of labor for America. And I don't want to do none of that.
So is that what the perfect immigrant is? You come work, you have children, you go home at night. I mean, tell me what the perfect immigrant to you is.
The perfect immigrant, according to people that are anti-welcoming, are people that come here and work and that contribute to our economic situation. That's the only time you hear about good immigrants is when we contribute to the economy. Well, I don't want to contribute. If I also come here and I just want to be here, I also want to be left alone and be safe and have my human rights and fulfill those.
Did you write it all about being the imperfect immigrant? Because you said, everyone has that ideal. Donald Trump says, I think the ideal immigrant should come from Norway. Did you think about the color of your skin or where you came from also making you less than perfect in the eyes of people, or no?
I don't think I mentioned my melanin. And particularly, I know that I've mentioned even my experience navigating these systems in the United States as a brown immigrant versus a white immigrant are very different. And we have seen right now that they've opened up gateways for even more white immigrants to come in and reducing our legal ways to come to the United States. We see that. We see in the people right now, in the light Latinos that are speaking and that are running as well. I think it is the color of your skin. I think there is a racial component to this, absolutely.
There absolutely is. Now, you said you feel it. And you feel it differently now than you've been living in the United States since
all of my life, since I was like 6-7 months old.
So you've been living in the United States since you were 6-7 months old. You're an adult now. You've had a green card for when you turned 18, I think. Is that correct? And you said it's different now than it was then in how darker-skinned immigrants are treated. What have you experienced personally that you feel is different now than maybe 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago when you were growing up?
Thank you for that question. I think historically now being the organizer that I know and knowing our history and where we come from, and we know that these things have been happening to people of color, immigrants of color. But I think now personally, as you mentioned, for me personally, now there's just blatant open attacks on people without status, and even people that don't have violent crimes, right? I think just before this Trump administration, they were going after felons, not families. Right? I was still considered one of those felons, but nobody was actually trying to physically rush my deportation. Until this administration, the Trump administration in 2017, mind you, I've already been in deportation proceedings since 2011. This administration under Trump used the DUI against me. Before 2017, that DUI was not on my ICE charges. So that's all the facts that I know, is that they are watching. That obstruction of justice I got arrested for in Virginia for protesting against that same system that's trying to make me disappear. Those charges were dropped, but those charges are still there in my ICE paperwork.
Why do you think this is happening?
Well, I think it's been happening since 1996. They've had this long-term plan set in place with the 96 crime law. It is illegal to actually incarcerate people for civil infractions, yet we do it with detention centers. So I think that it's been an ongoing process that's been snowballing, right? And now we have this white supremacist actually leading the nation who can actually use this to all of his white supremacist agenda, right? I mean, we're talking about border crisis not only just here, but in other places of the world. People are afraid of us. People here in the United States are afraid because, again, I mean, people are fleeing from across borders in our own states and becoming migrants in our own country, fighting for reproductive health care, right? So I think it's a mixture of a lot of things, but right now it is open. Trump has made it more easier to attack poor people, the common people, women, LGBTQ folks, non-binary, people that are just simply resisting. If we're saying no, if 21 Savage comes up on a late night show and switches up his lyrics to talk about Border Patrol, and then a few days later he gets charged and it gets to deportation proceedings, I mean, people are speaking up, and that's what's happening.
So you're protesting, okay? You've been here since you were 6 months old. You have a green card. You were placed in deportation. Can you tell me what happened?
So yeah, unfortunately, because of the comfort and the idea of America being the most beautiful and powerful place is capitalism, we are distracted. I didn't know shit about what was happening in Arizona in 2011 when my probation officer called me into the office so ICE can pick me up. I had no idea that happened. I had no idea we had immigration prisons. So in 2011, when I first walked in to those processing centers and saw children and mothers in ICE boxes and then proceeded to spend the next 2 years in a private prison, that's when I was like, holy shit, I'm not even the worst off. Look at these other women, right? Like coming there from survival crimes, from being in prison for 10, 12 years, separated from their children in my own backyard. Eloy is the #1 employer. I mean, those 2 years completely changed my life.
What was the underlying criminal convictions? You were already a green card holder.
So I wanted to give you, when you asked for a little bit of context, my mother naturalized with the 86 amnesty. And back in the day, we lived in Santana. We are in Little Mexico. My mom didn't know that she had to actually put in paperwork for me, which is called petitioning.
Right.
I lived all of my life being with my family, going to school, all of that. We moved to Arizona and I wanted to work. And I asked my mom, how do I get to work? A social, somebody said a social. Went to go get a social at the immigration office, got my work permit, my social security that same day. But I waited 3 years until I was 18 and a half to get my actual resident card. Right. Fast forward, smoked some marijuana, got the paraphernalia, got into proceedings. Then I find out, you cannot get in police contact at all within your first 5 years of your residency, or they can take it away. That is my situation in a short story.
Have you tried to vacate your convictions at all?
You can't vacate nothing in Arizona. You can't
there's no
expunge.
vacating.
You can try to set aside.
Right.
We're in the process of doing a lot of that. That's why I can't talk a lot about some of my details in my case, because that's part of the pardon, part of the clemency situation.
Right.
We're going to go back in there and try different things to protect me from deportation. But yeah, that's exactly what it was. It was a possession of paraphernalia, and there's no way. I even spent longer in jail because I was trying to fight through the citizenship of my parents, and they just said, according to our law, you just should have became a resident before the age of 18. And I'm like, well, you guys didn't give me that. They took forever on your end. And they're like, that's just how the system is. And I'm like thinking in my head now, and as I speak, if the system is broken clearly, and we're not about separating families, then you fix it. Then if you know this is a daughter of citizens, you stop that deportation against her and you fix the paperwork and you get it moving. But that's not what America is like. We're not here for justice. We're not here to keep families together. We're here to make money off of, building up jails, deporting people. And it's just very unfortunate that I have to be here still fighting and even talking about citizenship, because I know citizenship is not going to protect me from the people that I'm fighting against right now, which is ICE, which is Border Patrol.
And you were in Elroy Detention Center. Tell me where that is and tell me what it was like day to day.
I went back to Eloy for the second time this last spring to the same detention center. Eloy Detention Center is in the backyard of Arizona, of Phoenix and Tucson. It's an hour and a half away from my home. Eloy Detention Center is a for-profit prison. It is now ran by what they want to call core civic. They can also do more than incarcerate people. They can also handle your ankle monitor or your probation afterwards. This is a full spectrum system of controlling and surveillance. So CCA is that organization that's here in Arizona, and it's one of the worst detention centers as far as conditions. Maybe about 5 people died the 2 years that I was there. I saw people actually leaving the detention center in body bags and to never hear about them again. There's people who tried to literally cut their veins and kill themselves, and they didn't, and they would come back into the detention room again with me, again without any support or anything like that. So those are the things we saw. We saw kids being held there, 16-year-olds being held in isolation.
Why were they in isolation?
I saw people.
Why were they put in isolation?
Because you can't hold minors in an adult detention center. But because we're about incarcerating people, we're still going to incarcerate them, but we're going to put them in an isolated place where we surveil them 24/7, because that's how you keep young people safe.
So tell me about what it was like living there day to day. What time would you wake up? How many people were in your cell with you? What were the bathroom conditions like? How was the food? What did you do all day? How did you keep yourself sane?
All right. So for those 2 years, I actually would wake up really early at 6 a.m. They force you to get up and do your bed. Even you can't sleep in. When they make you get up to make your bed, you can go back to sleep, but you can't cover yourself. It's really cold. The lights never go off. And you get served 3 times a day. The last time we have a meal is at 5:30 p.m. and the next time you see a meal is at 4 a.m. If you don't wake up at those times, you don't get food. Then you have to be forced to buy commissary food. Most people don't have money. The few people that do have money are folks that have already built roots here, right? And are maybe people that just never got documented, or people that have residencies, but have support to spend a lot of money with commissary, which is all private people making money off of bodies there. If you decide to get a job, you get paid like $1 or $1.25 per day to work. I remember refusing that because I talked about how dare you guys ask me to work and ask us to work here when you got people in here for not working. Right? So there's no paid staff there, but the actual private contractors of CCA and the health folks. The health there is also private. So whenever there's situations that arise, they blame each other, right? The CCA and then the health clinic, because they're 2 different contracts of ICE. So you eat the same stuff. You eat 3,000 plate calorie, but you don't eat nothing that's really nutritional. It's all pastas, carbs, packaged frozen food. That's where I actually developed acid reflux there. And you get to go outside once a day. But other than that, you are just sitting in a big dorm of 50 women. You share a cell with another person. You share the bathroom, so you have to see each other take bathroom breaks. And you just come out to this big dorm where there's just TVs. There's 3 TVs, one for English, one for Spanish, one for sports. And you just sit idle for years and years, unless you have somebody like me. When I was there for those 2 years, I taught classes. I taught English classes. I just talked about feelings. I just organized. I was just an organizer. This time around, I talked about abortions and I talk about systemic oppression. And women there shared how if they would have known somebody like me, they would have at least known that they had choices. They love their children, but it's about choices. And some of the mothers that do have abortions are already mothers, so they know what was best. So for them to hear somebody speak and share that, it was very, very beautiful to have conversations about reproductive justice there.
Tell me about the changes and the thoughts that went through your head that got you from, I'm just, la-di-da-di-da, I didn't even know that I could even get deported, to being this amazing speaker and activist and champion of justice.
Naturally, I've always been an organizer. Ever since I was able to work at 16, I worked with kids, with young people, after school programs, and it was just always very active in my community. So once I walked in to Eloy Detention Center, and a couple of months, I think, when I started just doing a lot of work and research on my case, and I was like, holy shit, they're actually going to keep me here. Like, you have a library there. There's a library, even though the material was like 10 years old. I remember at that point, I remember just the documents from the deportation officers coming and advising you and giving you this information, and you learning stories from other women that have been there for 2, 3, 4 years. And I think it took me maybe like 2 months to be like, oh my goodness, I'm not coming home yet. I think, I just began building the best me that I could build under those conditions. And I started to really just focusing on how I'm going to get home and how I'm going to be able to really fight to really permanently have protection when I leave here. I knew that it was possible. Even though I didn't know when, I knew that through a bond, I could come home, which is the reason why I fear a lot, because right now at the Supreme Court level, they could be looking at a case called pre-app case, and which is the reason why we are right now let out on bond. But if they were to reverse that, like if I ever get arrested again, or if I'm ever in the hands of ICE and in detention, I can permanently be detained. So those are the things that I started to learn. And then I started to just advocate for myself. And I started sharing also with my brother. My brother at the time was in Kuwait, and my brother didn't enlist because after like a year and a half that he noticed that I hadn't come home yet, he doesn't re-enlist, and he comes home, and we start thinking about how we're going to get me out. So my brother coming back home and my brother starting to dip into what it looked like to protest at Congressman Grijalva's, and just like how to really bring me home and what was going on with my lawyer and what appeal process, or like what process in my applications or what applications I could apply for. We went so many ways. We went through the deriving citizenship. We went through cancellation of removal. A lot of things are happening. So my family started getting more awoken to what was happening, and we had to get stronger in organizing. So when I came home in 2013 and we paid a bond, I immediately was drenched with a community of organizers, and I was in DC fighting for fasting for families and organizing families coming all across the United States to talk to Congress people about why they should pass immigration reform. And that's where I began my training other people to share their stories. I've always my degree was in communication, so you're right, I do have this easiness to like public speak, and that's just how it started. I ever since I got out, I've been drenched with advancing the rights of people around me, especially women and incarcerated people. And now we're here, 2019. This last deportation, or this last arrest, really did level up my case to be super viral. But I think it's also because I'm able to connect my story to all of other people's stories and all those different identities. And again, it's a time where I should be scared and maybe hiding out again, but I'm not. I understand that, like, what else am I going to do? This case is going to be over one day. I have to fight all the way, and we have to put ICE on trial. I'm tired of being on trial. Do you feel like almost like now there's more purpose in your life? Yes, I was just a young person, not having a intentional, like, purpose in my life aligned with the collective and what everybody else needs, not just what I need. America teaches you to hold your head up high, do you, what you have is yours. I scratch my back, you scratch yours. That's not the world that I want to live in. I want to live in a world where you're born into universal healthcare, universal housing, into a collective alignment of like growth and healing. And Yeah, I mean, it's a beautiful thing that I was able to experience all of this through incarceration. But best believe I'm the exception. I've had resources. I've had U.S. citizen families to be able to support me out of this, and not the regular person that comes into detention centers ever comes home, in a way that they can completely change their life. We're talking about those people that don't get to stay with their families, people that have been deported already, people that don't get to really fight and make their voices, out loud, and I get to do that, and I'm just super privileged and thankful that I'm that one.
Tell me about some of the people that you met while you were in detention that you said, this person doesn't deserve to be here.
Brad, you're talking to an abolitionist. I think that nobody deserved being in there. Nobody. Not a single person. I probably didn't even have to ask, and I didn't ask a lot of people in there why they were in there for, because I understand that anything else could have been a different consequence or a different option. Like, we didn't have to incarcerate people after, smoking whatever drug they decided to smoke. Those are the people that I met in there, people that were surviving the war on drugs, people that were survivors of domestic violence, people that didn't want to snitch on their own family members, people that drove to work, but they had their homie in the car, so now they have smuggling charges because they were both undocumented, people who overstayed their visas and got crossing in the border. Like, if I have to use the language that our oppressors used by saying there was no criminals there, that's the truth. It was people who just never had another opportunity, women who had never had any pathways to any citizenship or legalization, because when people tell us do it the right way, there is no right way.
I've spoken to some clients who told me they felt guilty when they got to be released and they saw all the people that they met still. No, I deserve to be released. Mm-hmm. I feel guilty about is the fact that, again, not everybody has the resources that I got. Right.
Not everybody had that brother that came back from the army to make sure that his sister was safe. That mom that came in and visited me and organized visits for 2 years every weekend and paid for my lawyer fees. And, not everybody had those things. So I was definitely happy. And I know that all of us and I deserve to be home.
So now you got released in 2013, you said. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you started being an activist for yourself, for others, not just immigrants, but everything, the progressive left stands for, it sounds like. At what point did you get arrested again? What happened?
I had been invited to a protest against ICE, a clandestine, a very low-key office in Virginia near their capital. And they were trying to expose the agents there that were really using some gruesome terroristic tactics to really tear people apart. I mean, they actually broke into a house and dragged a man out of his home. So I remember that was one of the situations that happened, but we were there to highlight that, to expose them. We had a legal observer there. We didn't have any media there. It was just something for us, the community, to have a conversation with these agents, and we asked to speak to them. But as soon as we got there, they called DHS police. The center, as we knew, it was on private property, so we knew that we needed either the Chesterfield police or the owners of the building to tell us to leave, and neither of them were there. So we continued to descend and continue to continue our program at the protest. And the next thing you know it, those DHS officers, or one DHS officer, just grabbed me.
How many other people were grabbed in that protest?
I was the only one out of the 30 or so protesters.
Why you?
There's nothing on paper, sadly, but
think?
He told me afterwards when we were at the magistrate court that he arrested me because I was the loudest, and he knew that would dismantle the protest.
So what happened? So you got placed back into immigration detention?
I was arrested, and they let me go out that day on my own word. They let me go home, but in a week, my deportation officer called me and said, "Hey, we know what happened in Virginia. ICE is trying to pick you up." A lot of little details that I don't know yet if I can be able to share.
Fine.
But basically,
when did this happen?
It happened like a week. January 2018 is when the arrest happened. March, I have my next check-in. Before that, they find out about this arrest, and the deportation officer says they can't get you, they can't do nothing to you, but when you come to your court, come and check in with me, and I'm gonna have to move some stuff around in your computer so we don't re-detain you. Time passed, and I'm gonna have to re-detain you. You're gonna have to come into prison and go on bond again and appeal for a bond again. That's just the way they do it.
And you want to know why? Is because it's much easier if you just walk into them than them chasing you around to go find you.
For us, we were be clear, we actually, because we do this work, we knew that they go through a risk management assessment.
Right.
So actually that day when he told me, you're gonna have to come check in, I said, well, how are you gonna make that calculation? And he says, we're gonna put your record and your information into a risk management assessment, which Palantir makes, and has made a lot of money off of making these numerical algorithms for people to be detained. The same services are used for bond, and that's what they use here in bond for ICE too. So he runs my record and my information, and obviously because of this recent arrest and because of my priors, I was obviously risk of fleeing, so I had to be mandatory detention. Mm-hmm. So that's why he took me in. And he told me when he took me in, he didn't even want to put handcuffs on me. He's like, this is what I have to do. He goes, you just have these felonies that make you, mandatory detention.
And you were in detention for how long?
43 days. They paid my bond and they still left me in the holding cell for about 4 hours before they actually let me go home.
Was it different the second time around from the first time?
I think the second time around, things just got really, really way tougher for the folks living in there. But also I was different. So that was beautiful. Again, those conversations that I was able to have, that information, those resources, that feeling of empowerment that people actually met an activist that's actually doing this and saying these things. And they got to see pictures, and a flood of books come in every day. I passed out Spanish books to other women. They started taking away my books and saying I couldn't do that. All kinds of crap.
Right.
Whatever they could, because they were like, who is that? But as far as us living there and me coming there for the second time, there was no way for me to produce any carbon copies of anything that I wanted to be documented, not to health, not to any complaints or grievances, or to ICE. There was no carbon copies this time around. Before, you were able to do a copy and your carbon copy, you keep it, blah, blah, blah. This time, nada. This time, if you wanted to see a doctor, you had to get up at 4:45 to go through the 5 and 6 sick call time. That's the only time you can go. So when I was there, my cellmate got sick and she was bleeding. It was a long process. This one day she was already bleeding really bad from her rectum, and she asked me to translate to her. And the officer that was directly supervising us said, well, did she drink water? I have to ask her that. I'm sorry, because I know English. And then I'm like, yeah, no. And I'm still translating, but that's the question they ask you. Did you drink water? And why didn't you go to sick call in the morning? Because if you didn't go that morning, then you have to go the next day. There is no benefit of people saying I'm sick. They think everybody's a liar. They think we're the enemies. We come in as enemies there, and as people who deserve to be treated lesser than animals, honestly. So that day she never got to go to the doctor. I had to ask the supervisor in the middle to call. She ended up calling, and the healthcare was like, no, we told her already, blah, 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 or whatever it was. But this woman went to sleep crying and with blood in her rectum on the bed. And that's the type of situation that happened.
Did she get to a doctor? Did she get to a doctor?
I don't even know what happened. I ended up leaving maybe 3 days after that. She was one of my newest roommates there. But those were the things. You couldn't just put a request in and go see a doctor. You had to get up at 5 a.m. if you ever wanted to tell them that you were kind of sick or you may feel sick later.
Why do you think they make you do it at 5 a.m? They just don't want you to see the doctor?
They don't want to spend money on us. It's keep you good enough to deport you or get you out of here. We don't want to fix your problems. They blame everything on you brought that out when you came here. So what? People are sick now, right? And I used to talk to the doctors. I used to say, what is your oath? I said, because the doctor actually told me, they were like, I have the answer. One of the doctors was, if they just gave 5 things to you guys when you guys came in, we wouldn't have you guys every day in here. People come in because they don't have good shoes. So they come in for foot stuff. They come in for ulcers and acid reflux because of the food.
Right.
We sit on 2-inch mattresses on metal. They come in because of back problems. They come in, those are basic things like that they don't give us because it's for profit. And again, they're not there to take care of us. So even the doctors know what can be done, but they can't do nothing because it's just a private contract through ICE.
If the average American heard what you just told us, they would be horrified. They don't think about what goes on in there.
It was awful. It was awful to be there, honestly. And I was just it was stressful. I remember one time this woman came from another CCA. From a Vega CCA, and they wanted to give her used underwear. And she was like, no, I'm not taking this. I'm in this other CCA. We get clean clothes, we get this. And she starts just breaking it down how good. She goes, it's because you guys are not resisting. You guys are not fighting back. And I remember just being and I started reading her handbook and how things were different. I started comparing the handbook from CCA over there and this one. And I'm like, how can they get away with this? What are the things? I'm highlighting what's different. And I just started crying, and I remember I called an organization, the Detention Watch Network, and I'm like, I don't know. I feel like crap. I haven't been doing nothing. I'm scared, because they kept telling me, if you keep organizing inside, they're going to deny you a bond.
You see, I'm cynical. I think that if you were organizing more, they would want to get you out of there because you're causing a problem to them.
You would think. You just never know.
Yeah, you don't know. Right. That's how. If I'm the warden, I'm like, get rid of this girl, give her the bond.
But if they really want to fuck with you, right, from somebody above, like the staff there probably don't care. But like, if people are watching, like, you just don't know. I'm like, I'm already in proceedings. That's what it says on my paperwork.
They can't put you in deportation twice. I tell that to my clients all the time. Don't worry, you can't be you're already in deportation. They can't do it a second time.
So it's like those things that I was scared of when they were telling me. I remember being so scared. But it's this fear again, this control. Like, I'm not gonna come home. You don't know. So it was a balance, right? And it was just like a lot of healing and a lot of trauma that I had to do. But you know what? The women in there, they were waking up. They were watching news. There's a lot of more Spanish news with politic-driven messages, with more language about social justice. More organizers are popping up and activism. And these women had a lot of hope and more strength. And again, they know that they got to fight, that we can't just let the status quo keep being the way that it is. We got to resist and share our stories.
Did you find any of the guards or the people who worked in the jail sympathetic or empathetic to what you and the other inmates were going through?
Only one Black woman, I'll never forget that officer, was the one that would go out of her way. That's why she never went up in rank. I even told her, I'm like, damn, you still an officer? You haven't gotten up in ranks? But it's because she always resisted and always went out of her way to give people clean clothes and talked about how unjust this was. But it's also her job, right? They put you in this world where you have to, there's no alternatives. We're asking people to quit their jobs, but there's no alternatives, right? So I think for me, it was only one person, and unfortunately, and still she was the police. I still didn't trust her when I was there. But unfortunately, everybody's just in the status quo. They think that, they're not hurting us, that they're just watching us, they're just doing their job. And unfortunately, they're just aiding and actually being a part of the problem.
Now you're getting support from celebrities like America Ferrara, Rosario Dawson, Alyssa Milano. Tell me about that support. Has it been helpful?
It's the first time that I actually am thinking of when it's going to be over. I do know that this deportation case is going to be over. I do know that I'm here safely for another 1 to 3 years in appeals, regardless of my own strategies to get a pardon. But that's what we're going to be doing. We're figuring out right now all the best scenarios and all the best legal support that we can get to start this process of a pardon. Here in Arizona, again, you can't expunge. So even if you want to get a pardon, you can't just go pick up a pardon packet just like in other states. You have to actually go to trial in front of a clemency board that's assigned by Ducey and then have to appeal to them. But I think we're in a very good situation. I think as an organizers, where it's about us pushing the narrative and really addressing some really tough topics. And I think that in Arizona, we haven't done a lot of pardons, and we're ready for that. A lot of people here are ready for some real heavy reform.
Is the governor amenable, or has he not really been giving any pardons in Arizona?
He's only given one. But also we think it's because people just don't know they can do that. The only pardon he's given was to this one person who stole a motorcycle bike or something a long time ago, and he wanted to get his gun rights back, and he gave him a pardon.
Oh, for a gun. For a gun, yes. Crazy.
But, some ally friends here in Arizona had said that even if Ducey decided to dismiss my criminal record and all this other things that I'm against, that he's not going to give me a pardon because of my abortion advocacy. So now he's just invited the whole abortion world to fight behind me.
You're an amazing woman, and quite frankly, America should have more women like you, not less. Where can we find out more about your fight and to help you here in the United States?
I always sharing my story and sharing workshops. So I'm all around the world right now, well, the United States. So if y'all want to see me close up and have some more deeper conversations, definitely hit me up at keepalefree.org and we can connect and work together.
Well, we wish you the best of luck. I hope it really turns out for you. You're really an amazing speaker. You have so much to say, important, smart things to say. I'm sorry that you're going through this, but I hope it turns out well for you.
Let's sign the petition when we ask Ducey and to show support for this clemency trial. We're going to hit you guys up to support in that too.
My pleasure. Where do you see the future for you and this country? And what would you, in the most perfect world, what would be your dream?
I think that I am an organizer because I am striving for a world without poverty and a world that makes space for folks, that instead of incarceration, we have support systems. So I think that a world that is just for me looks like a world that has the most impacted, most marginalized people at its forefront. And I think it envisions also a world where democracy doesn't look like it looks like right now. It looks different. It looks like getting rid of the electorate college for one to begin with. But it looks like where there's no for-profit. There is no profit being made over bodies. And we are the most powerful, richest country. We have enough to do universal housing and universal healthcare for people. So my dream is that we work towards that. And I think I started seeing a lot of universal healthcare conversations already this year. But does that universal healthcare, am I an American? Does that include us? We want to talk about all of us.
Alejandra Pablos, thank you very much. We wish you the best of luck, and we'll be checking in on you and hopefully hearing some positive things.
Thank you.
Thank you. You know, I wasn't expecting the interview to go that long, but she was just had so much interesting, smart things to say.
Spitting jewels.
Yes,
like, seriously.
and I wish more people watched us simply to hear what goes on in there.
That was insane.
Yeah, because I didn't even know.
Right, and we all know that it's bad in there, but like just to actually hear it and
when you hear it, it's a different story.
Yeah.
All right. Anyways, we have comments of the day, I think.
Yes. All right, our first one comes from Catherine on YouTube, talking about Alejandra, saying, I'm feeling her opinion so hard right now. My country is failing me big time. Hashtag shame.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Hashtag shame.
Yeah, shame when you hear that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And our second one comes regarding what we were talking about, the alien, the term alien. This is on Facebook from Lisa Bling Rose saying, used the name undocumented.
Right.
Use the name undocumented.
Correct, Lisa Bling. Use the name undocumented.
We all need to start doing that. Everybody.
Yes.
All right. And our last one for today comes from Champagne So Sweet Leon from Facebook saying, Brad, you're the best lawyer ever. Brad
I like this
is
comment.
The man.
I like that comment.
Yes.
I do.
Woo.
I like ending the show on that.
Yeah. You know, I had to end it.
Yeah, by the way, Jonathan, tomorrow is going to be hump day.
Oh,
you know what that means when Belgium Kim's not here on hump day.
Oh, goodness.
It's really uncomfortable with me and Jonathan here on hump day.
It's going down.
Yes. All right. We'll see you all tomorrow. Take care. So, Sam, as part of the production, we have to say this disclaimer at the end of the show. Do you mind reading it for me?
Okay, but you know, Brad, I have to do everything around here. It's bad enough I've got to remember everything that happened on the episode from the previous day.
Forget it. I'll do it. The proceeding was information only and not specific legal advice. Consult an attorney about your individual situation. Prior successful results do not guarantee a similar outcome in the future. To make an appointment with the Spar and Bernstein law firm located at 225 Broadway in New York City, call 1-800-529-5465. That's 1-800-529-5465. Easy to remember, 1-800-LAWLINK. That's 1-800-LAWLINK. Once again, make a call to 1-800-529-5465. And of course, link up with the law offices of Spar and Bernstein, located at 225 Broadway on the 5th floor. If I were you out there, make the call, make the link, make the connection, make it Spar and Bernstein. 1-800-LAWLINK. That's 1-800-529-5465. And now, conveniently located in Hartford, Connecticut on 1 Congress Street. Visit us in Connecticut or in New York at 225 Broadway. That's 1-800-529-5465. 1-800-LAWLINK. 1-800-529-5465.